But hey, let's start things with the basics. Good morning, New Hampshire. Good morning, New England. Good morning up into Portland, Maine, WTSN AM and FM. Good morning nationally. Hey, Google. Hey, Alexa, play the Pulse of an H. Jack Heath, J Dog on the boards. Before we get to some of the fun political stuff, and boy, is there is a lot to talk about. You can't make this stuff up under that category. Let's start with some fun stuff on the programming side. We have a pair of Luke Bryan tickets to give away on the country music side. Bank of New Hampshire Pavilion up in Guilford is going to be the venue, and these are pit tickets in the 10 and the 11 o'clock hour. So if you're a Luke fan and who isn't on the country music side, we have a pair of tickets each to give away in the 10 and 11 o'clock hours this morning. 603-228-2080. Friday will be live at the home of the Goodhue Boat Company, the official boat company of Good Morning New Hampshire, the Pulse of an H, and we'll be on the lake in Ossipee, our friends at Goodhue, this Friday, 9 to noon as we get going. All right, so under the category of you can't make this stuff up, what a week it is. A lot of people on the inside and outside tracks, outside the Beltway, the pundits, everyone's trying to figure out who Donald Trump will pick as his running mate. And that, of course, is going to play out next week because the Republicans have their convention in Milwaukee. I predict that Trump will make the decision out publicly. It might be out on X or something Friday. Sunday afternoon or Monday going into the convention. Trump will no doubt allow this week to play out because Joe Biden is very much on the hot seat, telling everyone around him, don't worry, I'm not going anywhere, digging in the heels, if you will. Don't take away the keys. Don't even try. I'm driving this train. Rally around me. Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. Hosting some NATO leaders this week in Washington. And believe it or not, what an unbelievable concept. The president of the United States, they're building this up as a big event, is going to have a press conference Thursday and actually be asked questions from reporters. Can you imagine that? Without maybe getting the questions ahead of time. Can you imagine that? So that, I'm sure Trump's going to let this all play out because Joe Biden is very much sitting on that hot seat. Hey, don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. In the meantime, Gavin Newsom came to New Hampshire yesterday. I don't know if you caught this. I know most of you probably missed it. It was kind of weird. I was talking to one of our contributors this morning. The California governor, he's been mentioned if Biden ever did drop out of this thing, he's there with his national pack, campaigning for Biden and Harris in New Hampshire. And one of the stops they kind of threw on the schedule was at the Common Man Hookset rest stop, where probably 95% of the people were out-of-state guests driving through, getting gas and maybe hitting the liquor store. So it was kind of a strange place to go on the highway to hear about Joe Biden's, hey, he's good enough to hang in there. J-Dog, do we have either one of our contributors? Okay. We'll start with Corey Lewandowski as we get going this morning. A great guest this morning. Corey Lewandowski, John Decker, our own White House correspondent, will be also joining us. But Corey Lewandowski is front and center. Republican National Convention kicking off next week in Milwaukee. And if anyone knows the who, what, when, where on the Trump side, it is Corey Lewandowski, New Hampshire's own. He can manage the Donald Trump's winning campaign first time around. Corey, good morning. Good morning, New Hampshire, the Pulse of an H. Thanks for being with us. Good. I know you got a lot going on. You're looking at next week. Let's talk about the schedule, the timing of all this. And it feels to me that if you're in the Donald Trump camp, which you are, you kind of allow this very awkward period to play out for the incumbent president, presumptive Democrat nominee, trying to convince people that he's not going anywhere after the disastrous debate. Let that play out and maybe let people know on Sunday afternoon and Monday who your VP choice is and go into the convention. That's what it feels like to me. Right. Corey Lewandowski involved in, well, you're playing a role in helping to organize the convention, I believe, correct? Okay, so let me ask you this. You know Donald Trump well. You stayed close to your former boss from the first time around. I think knowing Donald Trump, unlike past nominees, this decision on who he's going to select as the VP running mate, one person's on that committee. It's Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not predictable. I don't believe necessarily the names that are being floated is his total list. I think if anyone's capable of picking someone that might surprise some of the pundits, it's Donald Trump. I also think this time around it may be geography. Who can help him win? What state matters? No one's talking about Virginia. You look at possibly Ohio. You look at certain states, South Carolina, where he's got to win. So, can you give us the Corey Lewandowski short list? I know it's not Donald Trump's list because it's his alone, and maybe I'm wrong. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, all right, Corey. We're going to let you. I know you're busy. Well, I'd love to catch you at least one of the mornings at the convention. Corey Lewandowski of New Hampshire, heading to Milwaukee. Thank you, Corey. All right, John Decker, our own White House correspondent, live. Good morning, New Hampshire, the Pulse of an Age. Busy morning. Thank you for your patience, John. And it is quite a week. Stuff I've never seen before. You have the incumbent president, the presumptive nominee, basically making calls and meeting with even Democrats on Capitol Hill, convincing them to stay with him, don't give up on him. He's not going anywhere, digging in his heels, if you will. This is rather bizarre, in my humble opinion. And having a press conference Thursday, what's your take on all the above? John, I know you're a student of history, and going back to the Marlin Fitzwaters, if you want to go back to Bush Sr. and other press secretaries, I know there's always been a dance with the National Press Corps, no matter what the White House, what the party, who the president, in terms of what reporter might be called on, how transparent they are, how upfront they are, how many press conferences the president does. But this White House press corps that you're a part of, in your opinion now after that debate, has the press secretary currently and the Biden White House team been up and up with national reporters in terms of the president's cognitive status? Do you think they've really tried to manipulate, intimidate, and manage this too much, or do you think they've done a pretty good job given what they have to work with? Yeah. All right, I appreciate it. John Decker, our White House correspondent. Hey, John, real quickly, I know NATO leaders are in. This is an important week. I think it's still damage control for the Biden team after the debate. Um, talking about a press conference Thursday. Do we know roughly when that is, what that's going to look like, how open you think it's going to be, how long you think it's going to be, and do you think there's a chance here for the president to gain some ground or slip further? John Decker, thank you, John. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about when we come back what this really, what may be going on behind the curtain, what's likely to happen. Also, we got a packed show for you. A couple of Luke Bryan tickets in the 10 o'clock hour and 11 o'clock hour for the shows coming up. I think it's July 20th, J Dog, up in the Lakes region at the Bank of New Hampshire Pavilion. We have a great location there. Vinny Media as part of that entertainment venue. These are pit tickets, so you're going to want to call in for these in the 10 and 11 o'clock hour, 603-228-2080. Friday, I'll be on the show. I'll be doing the show live at Goodhue Boat of the Marina in Ossipee on the lake in Ossipee. And as we get going, we're also going to hear from some of our regular contributors, Alicia Preston Xanthopoulos, Seacoast Online. It's going to be even hot over there, but out in the ocean, of course, it cools off a little bit, as I found out last night. Getting out there was beautiful. Going to hear from Aaron Rial, NBC News Radio National correspondent Mike Cody, New Hampshire Business Review, as well as New Hampshire Magazine, on an interesting story in terms of someone who put a big footprint in New Hampshire to make some fun clothing. We'll talk about that. Hey, Google, hey, Alexa, play the Pulse of an H. Back on Good Morning New Hampshire. Jack Heath, J Dog on the boards in a moment. All right, welcome back. Welcome to Tuesday. We're 9 days into July. Hot weather around here today. Maybe some thunder boomers this afternoon. That storm Beryl leaving millions in Texas without power is now water and heat kind of move into the region. So no air conditioning. That I guess the storms weekend have moved up, over to into Arizona. It looks like we'll keep an eye on that. What a I was asking John Decker. What a This is remarkable. I've seen a lot of things over the years. Presidential administrations, those who want to be president, those who run for president, unbelievable. And as you've heard me say for over a year or two now on the show, that I really believe the national media, the mainstream media, wanted it to be Biden and Trump again. They wanted it to be round two, and they got it. Everything they could do to perpetuate it. But let's look at some rather uh, not. These are actually not aberrations, but pretty profound seismic shifts here. I mean, it's like if you're tracking, you know, earthquake or something or volcano, you look for seismic shifts. Well, look at the shifts. Just a few weeks ago, just a few weeks, just not 3 or 4 weeks ago, all the news was about Donald Trump. All the hot seat news was Trump on the hot seat. Reaction to the guilty verdicts in the hush money case in Manhattan. Trump on this, Trump on that, Trump on the defense. And yet, despite all that, even with all the legal distractions going on at the time, Trump was moving up in the polls, which no one's talking about in the national media, in important swing states. Polls even in New Hampshire, pretty much at this point. But the other states has almost a 10.9 point lead over Joe Biden in the head-to-head matchup. But again, that's a seismic shift from a few months back when Biden, this is it's more than double-digit shift, and then the debate happens. And now you have an incumbent president who's very well known to the American people after what half a century or more in Washington, in the Senate, two-term vice president, multi-time candidate for president. Now he's the first-term incumbent president, the Democrat nominee, Joe Biden, spending pretty much the last 12, almost 2 weeks, 12 days on the phone and in meetings and doing very, in my opinion, sort of obvious things to try and convince people what he had to convince people going into that debate, that he's fit for the job, that he's fit to be president. He's fit to run. That's all he had to do in that debate. Failed miserably. The disastrous word was coined not by me. I think it was the national news networks. You just heard John Decker, our own White House correspondent. So he has a disastrous debate. Some would say a fatal debate. Some would say it's like a boxing match. I don't know if it's recoverable. But the Biden team is doing everything they can to recover. They're trying to plug the holes in the boat where the water's gushing in. To me, this is a little bit like one of those World War II movies where the sub takes some of the hits below the surface by the ship up above, and water is coming into the steam room, the engine room, the alarms are going off, and that's what this Biden team looks like. So they do the obvious. Oh, we need to have the president speak to an adult to convince people that he hasn't lost his mind. So let's have him talk to Georgie Stephanopoulos in a pretty nice, planned, friendly interview. He messes that one up. Makes up words that I've never heard of. Goodest job. Goodest. Okay. You're supposed to be a well-educated, you're president of the United States, and you're making up words still. And then they go into this week and it's all about, wait a minute, I'm not going anywhere, damn it. I'm not going anywhere. Letter to congressional Democrats convincing them I'm not going anywhere. Rally around me. I'm not giving up the keys. And you know what's interesting? If you look at the last year or two with Biden, what was the criticism of Trump before a lot of the legal cases? What was the criticism of Trump? That he was power hungry. Let's look at the things the national media is not spelling out for you. Trump was thirsty and hungry for power. He was still litigating the last election that he lost, that he thought he won. He was being asked questions like, if you don't win this next election, Donald Trump, are you going to respect the results? So now Joe Biden is sitting there going, I'm not going anywhere. Don't even think about it. And there's another problem here. Biden's getting angry when asked questions. His press secretary is getting angry and hostile when asked logical questions. everyone has questions after that debate, and we're not allowed to ask them or raise them. We get yelled at. I'm not going anywhere. And you're saying Trump is hungry for power? This is a catastrophe. And it's very clear to me what the Biden White House is doing. Someone who understands media and spin pretty well, or okay, yours truly, they're basically trying just to hold on, and almost like a few times in the Bill Clinton years, stand by your man, all the all the scandalous stuff, just, the ship will right, give it some time, people will forget, but they're not going to forget what they saw and heard in that debate, and the Biden team doesn't realize it. It was a fatal, I don't know if it's recoverable. As much as July 4th may have taken our minds off things, we're very distracted, very short attention span public. You can't unsee what you saw or what you heard. They're hoping you will. But here's another problem. The press conference Thursday may go well for Biden, and they're going to do handstands. See, it was just a bad night. He's fine. So again, they're trying to convince people he knows where he is. He's not too old, not too confused cognitively. Now, when you have to start telling people that the president has seen a neurologist, you're really getting to the point now where you're getting desperate. You don't believe me, believe the neurologist, but no one knows who the heck neurologist was. So look at. The health of presidents, this isn't the first time it's been debated, but this is the oldest, probably most confused cognitively president we've ever had running for re-election. There were questions about Ronald Reagan at the end, but Joe Biden is on the cusp of the nomination and running again. The Democrat Party knows that they could go down with the ship in these races. And Biden is spending the whole week trying to convince people, trust me, don't worry about a damn thing. I'm not going anywhere. And for Biden to go anywhere, he really has to give up the keys. He really has to say, okay, you want to take away my keys, you want to take away my life. Okay, I'm going to give it up. I'm going to release my delegates at the convention and let you folks do what you want. He's not going to do that. And at this point, I think Joe Biden is the nominee, and Vice President Harris, that's the ticket. That's what they wanted. They got it. And the problem they're going to have by doubling down right now and not giving up power is it looks pretty transparent. You criticize Donald Trump for being power hungry. You're the one who looks like you're power hungry. If you really care about the country, and it's pretty clear that some days you really don't know where you are or what you're saying. It's pretty clear to the American people now and the world, including adversaries. If you really care about the country, you would give up power. Think about that for a moment. If you're that altruistic, if you really care about the country, if you're really worried about Donald Trump winning, what would you do? You would give up power. That's what an altruistic person, if you really care about what you're saying, you would give up power. I'm not going anywhere, damn it. Don't even think about it. I'm not going anywhere. Okay? So you're going to run. And the problem for your team is this. And Maureen Dowd, liberal pundit, New York Times columnist, put it best coming out of the weekend. Cognitive decline in anyone who ages, including loved ones in your own family, it goes in one direction quickly. And you're telling me that you're going to, shrink wrap the president of the United States? Try and put notes that are bigger than what you'd put in a fifth grade class and tape with duct tape the places he's supposed to stand like he's a puppet, and you're going to run the clock out with that instead of telling Americans how you're going to fix the economy, fix inflation, fix the immigration crisis, fix a couple wars in the world, restore law and order, and get America maybe some of the broken stuff fixed. Your winning re-election message is, I'm not going anywhere, damn it. I haven't lost my mind. That's your message going into re-election. That's what you're going to carry going into re-election. That's an interesting message. Commentary 603-228-2080. A couple of Luke Bryan tickets in the next hour and 11 o'clock this morning. These are pit passes for the show in Bank of New Hampshire Pavilion, July 20th. Stay tuned for that. Live Friday at the Goodhue Boat Marina in Ossipee on the Lake, 9 to noon. Come by and say hi this Friday. Hey, Google, hey, Alexa, play the Pulse of an H. Alicia Preston Xanthopoulos on deck next. All right, I'm going to ask our next contributor and someone who is a host for the show as well. Thank you for filling in last Wednesday before the 4th. Alicia Preston-Xanthopoulos, Seacoast Online. She's played this role. She knows this stuff. I just want you to listen, APX. Good morning. On the White House press secretary yesterday, trying to get through the line, the president has seen a neurologist more than once in his physicals. So,
every year that we provide to all.
It's a very basic, direct question.
Hold on, wait a second.
Eight times, or at least once, in regards to the president specifically.
Hold on a second.
How much you should be able to answer by this point.
Wait, no. No, wait a minute. Come, Ed, please. A little respect here, please. So every year, around the president's physical examination, he sees a neurologist. That's 3 times, right? So I am telling you that he has seen a neurologist 3 times while he has been in this presidency. That's what I'm saying. I am telling you that he has seen them 3 times. That is what I'm sharing with you, right? So every time he has a physical, he has had to see a neurologist. So that is answering that question. No, it is. It is. You're asking me. I also said to you, Ed, I also said to you, for security reasons, we cannot share names. We cannot share names. We have to.
Others he would have met with.
We cannot
share names.
No.
If someone came here.
No, we cannot share names of specialists broadly, from a dermatologist to a neurologist. We cannot share names. There are security reasons. We have to protect. I understand that. I hear you. Ed, I hear you. I cannot from here confirm any of that because we have to keep their privacy. I think they would appreciate that too. We have to give them. We have to keep their privacy.
It is public information.
I hear you. Guys, hold on a second. There's no reason to go back and forth with me in this aggressive way.
We missed around here about how information's been shared with the press corps.
What do you miss about? What do you miss about?
Everything he just asked about.
And then every time I come back and I answer the question that you guys asked.
Correctly, and have to come back and clean
I
up.
never answered the question incorrectly. That is not true. I was asked about a medical exam. I was asked about a physical. That was in the line of question that I answered. And I said, no, he did not have a medical exam. And I still stand by that. Matter of fact, the president still stands by that. He had a verbal check-in. That is something that the president has a couple times a week.
Now in regards to Dr. Kevin Kennard.
And I am telling you right now that I am not confirming names from here. It is a security reasons. I am not going to do that, Ed.
I think you get the point, Alicia. That's a tough place to be. Tough job, yes, but this is like, wow. Okay, you're really good at this media, political spin stuff. Yeah, I know what they're trying to do. Is it going to work? With the Biden team, they're trying to basically plug the leaks, buy some time, do damage control and move on. Is it going to work? Is this recoverable? Is it recoverable? Right. But right. See. Mhm. Well, let me ask you some human things. Maureen Dowd's piece over the weekend in the New York Times, and of course she's on the liberal side. She put it well. Anyone who's had a loved one who goes through the cognitive decline, mentally and physically, whether it's the gait, the walk, or the speech, the memory, the short term, the long term, knows it goes in one direction. Okay. So you've seen, the last time I interviewed Joe Biden was when he was a presidential candidate in 2019, going into the 2020 race here in New Hampshire, the crowded field. And I had a 15-minute one-on-one interview with him. And I had met him several times in my years at WMUR TV when he ran. And I could see a physical and a real change from him. But I should have seen that because he was getting older in age. But that was 4 years ago. You and I know as human beings, the physical and cognitive decline that you and I have seen in the last year or two has been dramatic for the sitting president. We've seen the moments where he says something in a brewery in Pennsylvania and no one knows what he's talking about. And then we wind forward to the debate. We've seen the stair falls, the duct tape to show him where to walk, being lost on the stage, and Jill Biden, loyal spouse, having to take him off because he didn't know where the curtain was and where to leave. We saw the debate. We heard the debate. So from a human side, is this worth trying to save? Because I don't think you can fake all the above. Yeah, but hold on, but by choice. By choice. Well, when I'm sorry, I'm not being feisty with you, APX. I love you, but I'm just being feisty. It's good radio. Wait a minute. The press secretary of the White House, they are denying that there's any cognitive decline. They're saying he's fine. He's seen a neurologist 3 times this year. You don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about. He's fine. That's what they're denying it. But do you, do you agree? Alicia Preston Xanthopoulos, Seacoast Online. Do you agree with me or not that line about the power? I think undeclared independent voters, they want things fixed. They want inflation. They want affordability of groceries. They can't afford to buy a home. They want things fixed. They don't want to hear that I haven't lost my mind and I'm not going anywhere. They want things fixed. So that not willing to give up power. Haven't they been criticizing Trump for 2 or 3 years that he's the power monger? Now you look like it. Do you see my point there? Right. Hmm. Yeah. I know. I know. Yeah. You know what? The other thing I want to ask you one other question on Trump, Alicia, before I let you go is everyone's sort of in the Biden team this week, the press conference, everything's sort of targeted like he's okay to run again. No one's talking about can he do the job right now? The other thing I want to ask you, though, is Trump. So I'm guessing Sunday afternoon, Monday, going into the convention in Milwaukee next week, he'll announce his VP. We had Corey Lewandowski on the show this morning to kick it off from New Hampshire. He's playing a role in the convention. He's in that Trump camp. He said something interesting. He's going to pick someone that the pundits are not predicting. And it doesn't have to be that important because it now is Trump versus Biden after that debate. That's an interesting thing. He said he could go off the grid a little bit, pick someone who's not as well known, not political, someone who's successful here or there. I don't know who he's going to pick. Only Trump knows that. Who do you think he's going to go with if you had to give us 3 names on your list? Only if it's a bad choice. Yeah. See, I think Trump. I don't agree. Corey knows him better than me, but I think Trump wants to win. And I remember JFK and that team, JFK going with LBJ because he needed the South. He needed someone older, the Senate, because he was young from the Northeast. I think Trump's going to look at geography more than anything else and say, okay, what state do I really need to win and who can help me win it? I think I know it's talking about Virginia. No one's talking about Youngkin. No one's talking about, I mean, I could just look at some other states here. South Carolina. What's that? Doesn't need. Yeah, New Hampshire might matter, but I think the chances of that are about as good as him picking you. Um, you know, yeah, it's just interesting. I don't know. I'll tell you who I don't think it's going to be because I think some of these people, if he wins, are going to be in his cabinet anyway. I think Doug Burgum. They like each other. He ran for president here, of course, on the show. Governor of North Dakota, very successful, very very sharp person. But he's his energy secretary if Trump wins. I think Rubio. I think he'd tap Rubio for something. I'm sure Rubio would want Secretary of State. I look at these other names. Defense Secretary. People talk about Senator Cotton. He's a veteran. He'd be good in there, or the VA. I think Trump's got those people. I think he's going to look at someone who's going to deliver something that's a little bit different. I still think Tim Scott is someone he likes out of South Carolina. I like Tim Scott. He was a good candidate, very passionate about his upbringing, very inspirational message to a lot of people that come from some tough starts in life. And I just think he's going to go with someone that is going to be a boost for him on the map on a state that he's got to win. Yeah. No. And I think he's got South Carolina. I think you look at other states. Matthew Bartlett will be joining us at 11. Georgia's a state that matters. I think Virginia's a winnable state. All right, listen, APX, stay cool, stay cool this afternoon. Jump into that ocean. It's probably about 60 degrees for you. Thank you very much. All right, Seacoast Online. Hey, Google, hey, Alexa, play the Pulse of an H. We have a lot coming up, and we have a couple of Luke Bryan tickets coming up as well. Back in a moment. All right, J-Dog, we're going to be giving away a couple tickets in the next hour. You have fun with this. And Luke Bryant, July 20th show. These are what, actually pit passes down low there close? Coming up in next hour. Stay tuned. And 603-228-2080. So these things, J-Dogs, may not seem important, but it's the only piece left in this puzzle is who Trump picks as a running mate. And it's almost impossible to predict, especially when you're Trump, right? So those are people probably calling to win the tickets, J-Dog, but we're not going to do it now. We'll do it in the next hour. Well, you know what? We'll give you time. How about this? We're going to do it at 10:10. We have a great interview coming up. The CEO of Blue Cross Blue Shield New Hampshire, and while Maria's on, we'll 10:10 be prepared. So J-Dog, people are already calling. But J-Dog, these are people are calling for the Luke Bryan tickets. Gonna wait a little bit. Okay. Joe from where? I was just going to tell you who I actually think, J-Dog. If you're going to ask me a question here, J-Dog, as we're going to Joe, do you want to? I'm actually ready to give you my pick of who I think, because it's kind of a puzzle who Donald Trump's going to pick, and I'll tell you why. I think he's going to pick J.D. Vance. And I don't know if you've ever heard of James Donald Bowman, but J.D. Vance was born with that name, but is known as J.D. Vance. Is a U.S. Senator. Why do I say this? He's from Ohio. Ohio has become one of the most important bellwether states. Some would say the way Ohio goes, the way the White House goes. So J.D. Vance, what he brings to it is youth. He's not even 40 years old. He's a U.S. Senator from Ohio. He served in the United States Marines. I think he was a corporal in the 2nd Marine Aircraft Wing. He's from Ohio, Ohio State, the Ohio State University, Yale Law School. And he's a pretty good communicator. I think he's going with J.D. Vance from Ohio. Joe and Ware, what do you think? Good morning. You're on the show. We got a minute. Hi, Joe. Why did J.D. Vance change his name? I don't think it had. Look at when I saw that the only real press event was at the Hooksett rest stop for the common man with the state liquor store. Last time I checked, Joe, 90% of the people in there are not even from New Hampshire. They're driving home after the 4th, stopping in to get some gas, food, and liquor, if you will. Don't drink and drive. You know my point. They're not even from here. That was a insignificant visit, in my humble opinion. This is a disastrous week for Joe Biden, and the Gavin Newsom visit to New Hampshire didn't move the needle one fraction of an inch. Yeah, I remember that, don't you? Yeah, the private restaurant with 20 people when no one else in California could go out for dinner. It was kind of like Joe and Nancy Pelosi was able to open at that hairdresser's salon when no one else could go out. And she, different rules apply. Thank you, Joe. All right, thank you. All right, we come back. Top of the 10 o'clock. Hey, Google. Hey, Alexa, play the Pulse of an Age. Pack show for you. Buckle up. Don't change a thing. Back in a moment. We'll get you those tickets for Luke Bryan coming up in the next hour.